2025 was an odd year for Ninjago. I know it's almost February now, but I still have thoughts to share, so here they come. Let's start off with the characters. Lloyd was about as good as always, same for Nia, and Kai, although he got a little less to do, but he was good nonetheless. Jay's actually really good right now, because instead of simply reversing the effects of him losing his memories and doing shatter spin, they're able to take their time to build up to him eventually being a good guy again, which is what I assume will happen. And it's such a cool thing, because they have a few consecutive seasons, and they're able to build up long plot points. This is a great contrast to the Wildbrain seasons, where everything had to be resolved by the end of the season and be brought back to where we started for the most part. Most of the time. Sometimes we got development for certain characters, but it was about that every season. Aaron was good, but I wish they let the side plot of him being with Roz last a little bit more, as it was such an interesting concept that added a lot of nuances to his character. Sora was also very good, but I do wish her side plot of joining Aaron and Roz also lasted a little bit longer. Still good nonetheless. And while some characters strive, like Jay, who stopped being just a flat, boring comic relief and being like an actual interesting kind of character, some other characters were doing okay, right? A lot of characters didn't do very good and kind of on the edge of bad, to be honest. And that's mostly because there's too many characters and they just kind of suffered from the lack of attention that we're getting. And the victims of this are Zane, Cole, Ryu, and Frack. So in Season 3, Frack didn't do too much that was interesting, but he was just introduced in like Season 2, Part 2, so I can totally look past it. Ryu was never even really a character to begin with, but I still have hope for him. Cole, on the other hand, is not that bad, as he occasionally gets stuff to do, as him being, super protective of his family, of the realm of lost things, and, having his golem form thingy that never got looked back upon, which is kind of interesting. There was a Lego set on it for the new Ninjago season, so maybe they'll look back upon it once more. I'm hoping, because it looks interesting. And, he just doesn't get as much screen time as he did, before Dragon's Rising, but that makes sense, right? Because there's an extra 5 to 7 characters. So it's like a lot more characters, so obviously some characters aren't going to get as much screen time. But the biggest victim here, like this is very, very sad, it's for Zane, right? Because he doesn't get nearly as much screen time as Dragon's Rising, and to be honest, it wasn't even good before Dragon's Rising. His state for his character is really, really bad. Because I remember as the first 2025 sets were revealed and Zane was on the box art, I speculated in the Ninjago 2024 review that maybe he's going to play a big part in the next season, right? He did not. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. I was pretty wrong. So let's break down what he actually did. He found Pixel. Alright, that's cool. But guess what happens next? It gets even better, right? He does a courageous sacrifice in which his robotic body gets severely damaged to the point of no repair. Truly saddening, and the saddest part was they were playing this masterfully crafted track that perfectly represents the moment. What an original scene. But no, seriously, like the fact that they do a fake out scene just really shows they have absolutely no idea what to do with him outside of just repeating the same few segments, which are robot jokes, haha, and fake out scenes, which we've seen literally like 9 times before this. It's really not interesting anymore. Sure, I like the score. It sounds good, but it was good in Season 3. That was like that was more than 10 years ago. No, guys, we're done. No more. And you know what they did in the next part of the season? It literally gets even worse. They sent him on a road trip with Pixel. I'm being so serious, they just wrote him out of the story. But if you want a more in-depth rant about this and the state of these characters, and mostly just me, being pretty mad about Zane, well, I made a whole video on it. If you want, it's your call. Now, let's take a look at the villains for the year. Roz is interesting as always, and his plot with Aaron was neat, although I wish they made it a tad longer. The standard villain army for this year were the Dragonians, and although they looked cool, they kind of just felt uninteresting, and they didn't really have that much of a backstory. I mean, you could tell they were like part dragon, and they came from the first realm. Then they got possessed by Thunderfang, which I'll get to later. The spectral versions of them were honestly a bit more interesting, but only like by a little bit, because they actually did something, because they were sucking up souls, and they were like invisible, so that was kind of interesting. So that was okay. And then the Forbidden 5, though, I have some things to say. Their release was hyped up for an entire season. Like, for all of Season 2, Part 2, they hyped up releasing them, right? With the Blood Moon and everything. And then they released Noct, so they're like, oh, we could see a little bit, and then Noct was out. And then at the end of Season 2, they just released all of them, and you were like, oh no, I wonder what they're gonna do, right? Guess what their master plan to conquer all the realms was? It was to release someone else. So basically, we spent an entire season where these guys were hyped up more than the freaking Overlord, and what they do is just release another bad guy that's apparently way more dangerous than them, even though he was never mentioned before. I would have much rathered if they just had their own plan to terrorize Ninjago, and we really saw how terrifying and cunning they were. It could have been so cool. Or the alternative was just to not have them exist, and we just jumped straight to Unleashing Thunderfang, because he's the thing we ended up with anyways. And I must mention, it was embarrassing to see how unintimidating they were, considering Zark literally got made fun of by the ninjas. Like, this guy was getting clowned on by the ninjas. This shouldn't happen. This guy was like apparently one of the most dangerous warriors of all time. This should not be happening. And then Rox lost a stupid fight with the Jin and everything. She did not play to her best that she could have been. Or maybe she did. I don't know. They're bad. I don't know. And then Kerr didn't really do anything. Like, I can't tell you that much that Kerr did, except making Roby like a zombie kind of thing, which that was kind of cool. But other than that, like, no combat whatsoever, which is kind of weird. I don't think we even saw her do Shadow Spin, actually. That's kind of weird. And then Drix and Noct were actually pretty cool. Drix had a sick fight scene, and Noct actually did pretty good in the Tournament of Sources, and then he was pretty cool after. So them two, I enjoyed, but they still were not to the level that they should have been. Except Drix. He was really cool. And then, also, I feel like they locked up the Forbidden Five, like, way more securely than Thunderfang, since they put him in a separate dimension. Like, a whole other dimension that you can only access every 1,000 years. Yeah, every 1,000 years. Like, every blood moon. That's like every 1,000 years, right? Like, this is such a hard thing to access. So hard to unleash, right? And Thunderfang is just in the first realm, just in some basement somewhere. Like, he's just locked up in the basement with some chains that you just need to find 5 blades. Just find the blades, you chop them up, boom, he's unleashed. Way easier than finding the Forbidden Five, in my opinion. They should have probably switched the route a little bit, right? Put Thunderfang in his own dimension, lock up the Forbidden Five, do something more like that. That's makes a bit more sense, in my opinion. And also, speaking of Thunderfang, I have mixed feelings on him. He has a cool design, and his set looks, pretty sick. It's a pretty cool set. And his premise of being an Arc Dragon who wants to be a Source Dragon seems interesting at first glance. It seems interesting. That's what it is. It seems interesting. But is it interesting? Not really, because they haven't really done anything with his character for me to actually care about that. Like, I don't really care about him. And I would have preferred if they just did the Forbidden Five properly, to be honest, right? They just released the Forbidden Five, they got their own plan. We don't even need Thunderfang. It's fine. We won't get the cool Lego set, but that's fine. No Thunderfang whatsoever. I would have been fine with that. And the whole twist of him coming back like a ghost, it's a pretty cool design choice. He looks great. They didn't make a Lego set on that, though, because I guess they already made the Lego set very similar to that, so that wouldn't have made sense. But still, kind of just pointless then. And then it's a cool design choice, but he doesn't even feel like that much of a threat, since in the first half of the season, they just beat him in the same 2 episodes that he was introduced. So yeah, it's not that interesting. But there is one villain that was really good. Actually, not really a villain, more of an antagonist. Let's talk about my favorite one, which is Lee. He was very good. It's not only so impressive that they made such a simple designed character, like it's just a regular guy. It's so impressive that they made this guy who's not even that powerful so interesting, but it's also so embarrassing that he's like way more interesting than the Forbidden Five and Thunderfang, who were both built up for like a combined 2 seasons and have like a super elaborate designs and everything. And they're not even as elaborate or as interesting as Lee, who just had like a 4-episode arc to shine, and he's so cool. Because I love what they did with his character, because his motivations are there, right? You can totally understand. He wants to keep people there. He wants to be with people, and it makes sense. And as the episodes build up, he becomes more and more intimidating, and he does all this with a fairly simplistic power, which is him just multiplying into multiple versions of himself, which is so cool. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing super dangerous like brute force or something, but he still commands a very dangerous stage presence, which is insane to see, and it shows that he's a very cool written character. And it's just a regular guy. He multiplies into different versions of a regular guy, normal haircut, just wearing regular jeans and a regular shirt, I think that's what he's wearing. It's just so cool. And they wrote this segment very well by making the Land of Lee kind of uncanny and mysterious, while slowly revealing the plot points you can see coming, but they're still so satisfying to unveil. Even if you know they're coming, you know there's some fishy going on, it's still so satisfying and interesting to see how it develops, and you can see how it happens. And yeah, truly great work with him. Also, he has a nice little musical segment, which we don't get too many in Ninjago, so that was kind of cool to see. Now, for the plot this year, it really hinged on the main villains themselves, which I didn't really find all that interesting, so it kind of reflected on my thoughts to the plot itself. And there was Thunderfang, the Forbidden Five, and then Thunderfang again, so that was kind of just not as interesting. And it was basically just a fetch quest for prismatic blades, which is just another fetch quest, and it wasn't as interesting because the prismatic blades themselves really didn't have anything to do with them. They were just kind of just there for the sake of releasing Thunderfang. They were kind of boring, to be honest, and then there was just trying to stop Thunderfang from being a Source Dragon and all that. Not that interesting, but we got a lot of stuff in between, which a lot of it was interesting, like the Land of Lee, and I really can't name you anything else, to be honest, so kind of reflects on how good it was a bit, but overall it was okay. And it definitely was not as interesting as last year, though, because last year they tried to stop releasing the Forbidden 5, which, you know, they could have probably just let them out anyways. It wouldn't have made much of a difference. They're not that much of a threat. Yeah, just doing that with the Blood Moon and everything. Blood Moon, so cool. Really a really cool side plot. The aesthetics and everything. I like the villains on that one. They were way cooler. And then we had the Tournament of Sources, which is, I think, my favorite arc for Dragon's Rising of all time. I mean, for Dragon's Rising anyways. It's so cool. It's just so cool. There's mystery. I just love it. It's great. So it was good, it was alright, but it was not nearly as interesting as last year, so that's kind of a shame. And another thing they released this year, which is cool, is Ninjago Monstrosity, which is a few shorts they released on YouTube, and they were very fascinating with an amazing art style, but it was definitely too short. It was like 3 episodes, all like 5 minutes. I could have gone for like a full season of that, you know? That was so good. I hope we get more of that. That'd be cool. And then we also got a few sets based off of it, and they look stunning, beautiful. We got the dragon and the dragon fire, the fire knight mech. Those two, they're beautiful. They're a great set. And we got a few other sets, like Ninjago City Workshops, another addition to the Ninjago City line. Nice stuff. We also got Thunderfang, which is, it's a cool set. I already mentioned it. It looks like a really nice set. Might have to pick that one up at some point. We'll see. And most exciting of all, we got a set that we've been waiting for like years. We got, run drum roll please, another Destiny's Bounty. Yep, pretty cool, right? Yeah, no, so it's literally like the second one we've gotten for Dragon's Rising. Like, we've literally gotten 2, which is just insane. Like, we get like 1 every 2 years. Like, I get it, makes sense. It's the iconic ship, right? There should always be one on shelves, I suppose. It's kind of like the X-Wing from Star Wars, you know? You gotta have one on shelves for kids to get. I get that, but on the other hand, they don't like make any of the new bounties like more and more iconic. Like the one, like this one, I don't know, did it even appear in the show at all? It appeared for like 5 minutes. It wasn't important, so I don't see the need in making them. Like, they're just making it for the sake of having it on shelves, which makes sense, but on the other hand, it's just whatever. And then, but it seems we might be getting a land bounty this year, which that I'm actually pretty excited for, because we only got 1 of them, and I assume it's really pretty expensive now, and also, you know, it's a cool concept. I'm sure they can improve upon it and make it cool, so I'm pretty excited for that, so that's actually pretty cool. Overall, 2025 was an okay year for Ninjago. Definitely not bad, as we had some positives, but certainly not as good as the previous year, 2024. That was a very good year, banger, very good, loved it, and I am looking forward for the future of 2026, as it is the 15-year anniversary, so they're gonna make some pretty good stuff, right? Some more anniversary sets will be revealed. I think 1 more that's guaranteed, so I'm excited to see that. Hopefully it's not an X1 Ninja Charger. I'm really hopeful. And for Dragon's Rising, I'm actually really hopeful because the cliffhanger at the end of season 3 was very interesting, with all the ninja being split up and Raz finally taking charge as the main antagonist, which we've been needing that for a long time, but I'm happy to the point where we got, you know, they're taking their time, which is great. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what's to come, and let's hope for the best. Let me know what you think. If you guys should do more videos like this, subscribe, and I'll hopefully do it next year. Bye bye.